this is Hongerits. Welcome to the lecture on business models. We will start with discussing why we need a business model. After that, we're going to look into the components of a business model. After that, I want to discuss how to create a winning business model. And when we know those, I want to spend some time on the specifics of digital business models. Okay, let's start with why do we need a business model? The thing is that when we want to develop something new, something that's not there yet, we have to make sure that when we are in a team, that we all have the same understanding of what we're trying to achieve. I call that unity of thinking, that we all think the same. Now this is pretty hard to realize when it's just a business idea. I want to compare it with an architect that is designing a building. If an architect does that, he can make a model of the building so that he can show it to all the other participants and that they can understand what the final result will be like. And they can all figure out what will be their part to make it work. A business idea, being an abstract image in your mind, is not that accessible for other people. So we need kind of a model that will represent the idea that we have and that will make it possible to discuss how we can best develop that. So the business model should allow all team members to visualize the end result and discuss the different options how to get there. So that's the second reason for having a business model, that we can divide the work amongst the team members. The third reason then is that all the parts fit nicely together. For example, if we're building a business for teenagers, it might not make sense to do marketing in newspapers, but we should use social media. We can only get a grab of that when we have a clear picture of all the elements and the final results that is visible for everyone in our minds. That's what a business model should do. So what elements should a business model have to realize all the functions and needs that we've discussed before? The term business model has been used for a lot of different things. Sometimes it means, how does this company work? Sometimes it means, how does this company make money? Looking at literature, many researchers have looked at what business models do represent. Basically, they see three functions. One is value creation. How does the company create value for its clients? The second one, and we have to be sure that we don't mix them up, is value capture. How does the company capture part of that value? How can the company make money based on the value that they create for the customers? And the third element is value delivery. How does the company deliver the value? How does the company work to create the products and services that the client is looking for? The most used tool to describe business models is the business model canvas. So let's take a look at that. We're just going to do a short overview of the business model canvas here, as there's more than enough materials online that you can use to dive into the details. Let's start with the customer segments on the right side. Every company has products or services for a certain customer segment. This is the customer segment that the company is targeting and want to sell its products and services to. It also means that those are the customers that the company looks at when figuring out how they can create value for those customers. What is the product that the customer is looking for? It's very important to have a clear understanding of what your customer segment is. A clear focus on a certain customer segment is needed to become successful. Only then you can make a product that's new and adds value to the customer segment. You can't be everything for everyone. Be aware that when you are building a multi-sided platform, you have two customer segments at least. Say for example, you're building an online market, then you have sellers and buyers, and they may have different needs. So you need to recognize two different customer segments in that case. Now let's move to the center of the business model canvas, to the value proposition. The value proposition describes the value that the company wants to deliver to its customer segments. It's the bundle of products and/or services that delivers the value to the customer. The value can be posited in different ways. It can be quantitative, like speed or price, like we have a product that's cheaper than all the competition. It can be qualitative, like design or better quality. The value proposition should align with the values that the customer segment that you're targeting are looking for. Through the channels, the value proposition is delivered to the customer segments. It answers the question, how do we get the product to our customers? The channels can be either owned, so the company's own channel, or they could be third-party channels, like a logistics channel to deliver the products to the clients. Of course, in many digital ventures, the internet is the channel that we use to deliver the products to the customers, or it could be an app. Customer relationships is about how we keep in touch with our customers, or how customers can get in touch with us. Do they call a phone number and there's a real person behind? Or do they have a chat function on the website to do their request? The customer relationships define the customer experience. This is how the customer experiences your company. In the last decades, the customer experience has become more important in many cases than the quality of the products or services. So make sure that you think through this very clearly. Let's stay on the right side of the scheme and finalize with the revenue streams. The revenue streams is how the customer pays for the value that you deliver. There's a number of options in here, like license fees that have a fee per month, a one-off fee, an app that you have to pay for, in-app purchases, etc., etc. In many cases, a combination of revenue streams is used as the total revenue stream. Now let's move to the left side of the business model canvas. The key activities are the activities that need to be executed in order to deliver the value proposition. What activities do you need to do in order to deliver the value proposition to your customer segments? Key resources are the resources that you need in order to deliver the value proposition. If the value proposition is to be the best biker hotel in the world, you need some real estate. You need a hotel. In digital models, resources can be data or IP that you can use. Key partners are business partners that you need to deliver your value proposition. So for example, if you want to do an online market, you could either have a key resource, a warehouse, or you could have a warehousing partner that you outsource warehousing to. And then we'll come to the final part of the business model canvas, the cost structure. The key activities, the key resources, and the key partners cost money. All those costs come down into the cost structure of the company. That completes the business model canvas. The business model canvas has proven to be a good way of modeling what a company is going to do. It also answers the questions that we started with. Let's take a look at that. The business model canvas helps to get unity of mind, to understand what we're talking about, to make sure that we all are thinking about the same company to develop. It helps to divide the work and make sure that all the business parts are aligned. So that, for example, the customer segments relate to the customer relationships and that the key activities relate to the value proposition. That way we can have a team, each working independently on parts of the business model. The business model canvas also explains the 3 questions that the researchers had found that a business model should answer. Let's take a look at those too. We have already been talking about value creation, value capture, and value delivery. Let's see how that works out on the business model canvas. First, value creation. That's done on the top left side of the business model canvas. It includes the key partners, the key activities, the key resources, and the value proposition. Value delivery is at the right side of the business model canvas. It includes the channels, the relationships, the customer segments, and the value proposition. Value capture is represented by the value streams in the business model canvas. So the business model canvas allows us to have those 3 different types of activities in the screen and allows us to think about that and discuss. The business model canvas in that way structures our thinking and discussions. There's also another way that the business model canvas can be used. It can also be used to discuss the desirability, feasibility and viability of new business ideas. Let's take a look at that. When we're talking about the desirability of a new product or service, we're talking about the top right of the business model canvas, as shown here. The feasibility, whether we can make a product or not, is represented at the top left of the business model canvas. It's about the activities, resources and partners that we can mobilize to make it work. The viability of a business idea is on the bottom of the business model canvas. It's about the revenue streams and the cost structure. When it delivers a profit, then the idea is viable. I guess you can see now that it's no wonder that the business model canvas has been such a success. It really helps to structure our thinking about a new business idea and enables us to analyze the business idea from different perspectives. Now let's move to how to design a business model. How do you design a business model? In the end, all boxes of the business model canvas should be filled and should be aligned with each other. But where does it start? A new business idea typically can start at multiple locations on the canvas. Say, for example, you have better knowledge than anybody else on a specific customer segment and you know that there are unmet needs. Then you could design a new product or service that would satisfy their unmet needs. A new business idea might also emerge because you have specific knowledge about a new technology that enables new value propositions or new channels or new customer relationships. So the new business idea can originate at different boxes of the business model canvas. But how do you design a business model that will really succeed? How do you create a business model that's not only creating value, but also allows you to capture enough value to make it a profitable business? In order to answer that question, we have to look at the domain of strategy. Business strategy has always been engaged with creating an unfair competitive advantage. So let's take a look at how they look at business models. Business strategy is looking at ways to create an unfair competitive advantage by having the right assets and capabilities in the organization to ensure that no one else can do the same as the company does. Looking through the lens of business strategy, a business model can't be developed as is, but it has to be developed in the context of a business strategy. It has to take into account the specific assets and capabilities the organization has to ensure that the business model that's being developed creates a competitive advantage. Strategy is looking at the long term, and a business model that suits the company now might have to be changed over in a few years for a model that suits the company then better. The strategy stays the same. The business model might change. So what kind of things are we looking at when we want to create a competitive advantage? And how can we create a business model that can't be copied right away? In the first place, we might want to use assets, capabilities, systems and processes that are hard to replicate, that only our organization has and no one else has. Another way to protect your business is if you have insider knowledge that no one else has. It's maybe a bit the same as the next one, opacity. So it's really hard for your competitors to understand your business model. They don't know how you're doing it or why it works. Cannibalization can be a reason why existing companies can't compete with startups. If they want to develop the same kind of service, they are cannibalizing on their existing revenues. I guess the most known example of that is Kodak, that invented the digital camera, but didn't really push it ahead because it would cannibalize their existing revenues in traditional photography. You can do really well when you can develop a model that self-enforces itself, so that once you have it running, it keeps on improving, so that nobody else can compete it anymore. A well-known example of that is the model of Ryanair. You see the model here. It has 3 virtuous cycles that self-enforce the outcomes. The model gets better and better and better. We see these kind of models a lot in digital, For example, when data is a main asset for a business model. The more data, the better the business, the more clients, the more data, the better the business, the more clients. That's a self-enforcing business model that will create a winner. A winner takes all. That brings us to the last topic of this lecture, the specifics of digital business models. Let me begin with the growing importance of business models in the digital age. In the industrial era, customers basically had to buy what the companies were selling. There was maybe some variation in product, but basically the companies decided what they wanted to sell. Now in the digital age, it's the consumer that is in charge. The consumer decides what the products will look like. That's why we have seen a growing importance of business models in the last 20 years. Apart from the fact that business models in the digital age start from the consumer and not from the producer as it was in the industrial age, there's also some different kind of dynamics. In the first place, digital business models are easy to copy. That's because they're very visible for everybody and the technology is not very expensive, so everybody can get it. In the second place, as we have seen in the discussion on IT economics, is that digital products have zero marginal cost. This means that once competitors have developed the same kind of products, they might want to gain market share by offering it for lower prices, as the marginal costs are zero. This will lead to a race to the bottom. If there's also some data element in the business model, where you gain a better position when you have more data, it will definitely mean that the winner takes all. And as the internet is a global marketplace, that competitor could be anywhere on the globe, not just in your neighborhood. So that's why there's a real urge to think about your business model and find out how you can create a competitive advantage. Otherwise, it might be really hard to create a company that will sustain. That concludes our discussion on business models. Thanks for your attention. Hope to see you again. Bye.